You often mention what you can, Ziz62266 says, you often mention movies you consider perfect or close to it, like The Matrix or Blade Runner or Raiders. For the record, I think Matrix and Blade Runner, for the record, The Matrix and Raiders are perfect films. Blade Runner is not perfect, but its import is as high. What at the other end? What are some guilty pleasure movies? The one that you love that everyone else hates. Man, the latest one is Tenet. Christopher Nolan's film starring John David Washington, Denzel's son, also with Martin Donovan shows up. And what's his name? Cedric Diggory. Robert Pattinson. God, I love Robert Pattinson's weird-ass career. I love the strange choices he makes. I just love him as a performer. Tenet, I know a lot of people have a problem. Norm rolls his eyes every time I'm talking about Tenet. I know so many people have problems with it. It's confusing more ass. I get that. I just really enjoy the world of Tenet. Kenneth Branagh just is the greatest scenery-chewing villain. He plays almost the exact same character in Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. And it's almost similar to the plot of the Night Manager with Tom Hiddleston, in which Elizabeth Debicki also plays them all. But I think the opening 10 minutes of Tenet are Christopher Nolan's best action sequence yet. And yeah, I'm including the Dark Knight bank robbery. It's right there. It's right there with the Dark Knight bank robbery. Look, I love The Rock. I love Con Air. I was once at a party after Con Air came out, and somebody goes, "Oh, Con Air." And somebody at the party, some dude was like, "What a stupid movie. I saw it yesterday." And it had only come out like 3 days before. And he was like, "What a stupid movie." And I said, I am curious what you went into that movie thinking you were going to get. Because as far as I'm concerned, the trailer promised every ounce of stupidity I got out of watching that movie. And I enjoyed it all the way through. So like, if you went thinking you were going to get another movie, then I would suggest you watch trailers more carefully. I did not talk like that. I simply said, what did you think you were getting into? Because I loved every second of it. Andy Butler and Carl Gallagher have both gifted memberships. This is becoming a thing, and I'm here for it. I really dig this. Quantum Donut, sorry, you donated 25 and you had a question, so I'll read your question. Adam, you have had a very interesting career. Can you recommend other types of careers that would be as interesting? I envy a career where one can tell interesting stories about it years later. Well, see, I don't know whether it's the career or the storyteller. I will go this far to say that I like to imagine that my ability to tell stories is directly affected by my enthusiasm for the subject matter of which I am describing. Moreover, I would go further to say that anybody who is good at storytelling is good at it because they have engaged at a real deep and emotional level with the material that they're talking about. So to me, it's less about a career that itself has interesting stories around it than the person who chooses a career that feeds that part of them where they find their enthusiasm. Not everyone's able to find that. That's alchemy. That's a hard thing to go get. But when it's gotten, it's really special. And I've been asked over the years, as my career has gone from theater to television to film to television again to performing to stage work to all these different things that I've done, what I think my job is, what I think my job title is. And after all these years, I've redounded to considering that my job as a person is I'm an enthusiasm permission machine. I want to give permission to whatever enthusiasm you've got within reason. Let's be clear for those jailhouse lawyers thinking of outlying cases. Sure, there are people who have enthusiasm for stuff I don't want to know about. Forget about that. Let's talk about the fact that when you are enthusiastic about something and you want to get better at it, you are going to immerse your soul into that, and you are going to come up against obstacles to achieve that excellence. And those obstacles are going to be you. And thus, to get really good at something, you have to confront yourself. You have to know yourself. And people who know themselves are inherent. I believe, this is my thesis, that people who are seeking to know themselves or know themselves well are compelling to listen to talk about their experience because it is more direct. That's the theory. I could be totally wrong on that. Michael Schnell says, do you have any gripes or criticisms of makers on YouTube? What mistakes do you see them constantly make? I see YouTubers make a mistake I make all the time, which is they talk about old videos. And every time I hear a YouTuber talk about old videos, I'm like, I'm not watching that video. Don't talk about that video. Talk about this video. And so I remind myself, don't say, I talk about this in an old video. I mean, it's helpful to say the video to the link I'm referring to is in the comments. That's totally reasonable. But when you talk for a living, which is one of the things that I do, I remember everything that I've said. And so I end up repeating myself a lot because I'll give answers to questions from the stage, as I did recently, or I'll give answers to questions written down, or I'll give answers to questions in social media. And I might give the same answer all 3 times. And it feels to me like I'm long rolling on your time, when in fact, each one is being given to a new audience. So I would say, in the same way that a proper essay, in my opinion, is written for a person with no previous knowledge of the subject matter the essay addresses. I believe that is a fundamental characteristic of a good essay or article. I think YouTube videos should be the same. I think generally, again, as someone who talks for a living, this is ridiculous for me to say. I think often people talk too much in YouTube videos. I want to watch people make stuff. That being said, I talk a crap ton in my videos. So what do I have to say? I just end up watching a lot of stuff on mute. But that's also because sometimes I get surgical about the channels that I watch. Don't get me wrong. I love nothing more than calling up Ted Woodford's guitar channel and listening to his dulcet tones wax on about ancient Gibsons and guitar makers of yore. So it's not like I mind talking. Here's the advice that I give. If you're watching your own edit and your attention wanders, you better cut that thing down. That is one of the best markers of when you should be cutting material out. If you think that your fans need it, but you're finding it boring, cut it out. You're probably wrong that they need it. That would be my advice. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.